All right, so we're gonna keep it rolling, looking at ES6. Okay, got more ES6 syntax to explore. This is my favorite one because I don't know, I just like functions. I like writing functions. I just think they're so cool, and maybe that's just me. But anyways, uh, with ES6 syntax, we have the arrow function. Uh, and it allows us to write functions differently. Okay, so let's start off with this function here, num squared. We're going to write it in the traditional way. So here I'm going to say function num squared. It's going to take a num as an argument, a number. Okay, and let's just say, hey, um let's say if type of num is equal to number, then we will say console.log num raised to the second power, else was console.log error, and then I'll return. So this is num squared, this function. It says, hey, if type of num is equal to number, I want to make sure that this is a number. And if it is, console.log num raised to the second power, else console.log error, and then returns. If I want to run this, num squared, pass in 3, I should get 9. Yep, and I do. If I pass in foo, I should get error, and I do. All right, so that works. Cool. Let me set that back to 3. It's long. Obviously, we can rewrite this using ES6, and we're going to do that using also arrow functions through ES6. And with the arrow function, looks like this. We have the const keyword with an arrow function. So what we're essentially doing is we're making a function or writing a function and storing it inside of a constant container. Okay, so I'll say const and then the function name. And then I'm going to make this arrow, okay, and it looks like this. I'm going to have the equal sign, open my parentheses, okay. I put my arguments inside the parentheses just like we had before. And then I do the fat arrow at the very end. So it looks like this, okay. Open my curly braces, and inside of curly braces, we do stuff. And this is an arrow function. Let me put that right here. So I'm going to rewrite num squared using ES6 syntax, okay? So I'm going to come over here and comment out this num squared. And here I go. I'm going to say const num squared. Okay. And in here, I'm going to pass in num. Make my arrow. Looks like so. And what I know now is I can use a ternary here as opposed to this if statement. So I can say type of num equals
number question mark. And if that's the case, console.log num raised to the second power, else console.log error. And it does all that on one line. And it is one line. I know it's like just the size of my text. If I come over here, make smaller, we can see that it's all done on one line, but I know people need to see what I'm typing. So now this has been written using ES6 syntax. The exact same thing is up here. When I come and look at it, there it does return 9. Cool, awesome, great. So let's come over here and look and see what we got here. We can write this using the arrow function like so. Instead of using the function keyword, we use const to create the function. The arguments are written inside the arrow. As you see here, as with other functions, if an argument is not needed, we wouldn't place anything inside. Also, notice that we did not need a return keyword with the arrow function. That's one of the big things about the arrow function. Aside from the way that it looks, the arrow function has an implied return statement. Therefore, we don't need to use the return keyword. So if I wanted to, here, I can rewrite this again. I'm going to just bypass the type of num and everything. I just wanted to console num to the second power. So I could shorten this up even more. I mean, I have the little protections here, what have you, but I could just say const num squared gets passing num. And I could say num, well, console, I want to console dot log num to second power. Let's look at it. Still works. So I just took that. I took this function here. Now, granted, again, I wanted to check the type of the number of num first to make sure that it is a number. I wanted to do that. But you can see here, in comparison, this function here, where I'm using the function keyword and having curly braces, and I have to have it return, and I'm using this if else, I was able to write it differently, much shorter, using ES6 syntax. And even then, I can make that even shorter, but this is without the test or whatever. So more than likely, I will probably want to roll with this baby right here. It still does the same thing. But again, the important thing is with the arrow function, there is an implied return. So we don't have to use the return statement when using an arrow function. Because what it's essentially doing, okay, the way that it's built, I'm taking the const keyword, and we looked at const earlier, and that creates a container. So I'm running this function somewhere, okay? You can think of it as kind of like what we like to call an anonymous function. We're just running a function, returning the data or the output of that function and storing it inside of a container. And that's essentially, that's what's happening here with an arrow function. We're running some kind of function somewhere, given its arguments if it has any, returning an output, taking that output, storing it inside of a container. This is no different than me doing something like this. If I say function say my name, say my name, say my name. Um, and then I could, say string right here, and then I could, I would say return string. This is no different than me doing this right here. Let my name get say my name, and then pass in Satch. This is no different. If I console.log, let me see what happens if I console.log my name, there I get Satch. So essentially, what's happening right here in these couple of steps, this is what the arrow function is doing. Okay. And it's doing it all in one. And obviously, I could come over here and, just so we can maybe understand a little better, I could change that to const. So function is being ran here, and whatever is returning is being stored in this container right here. That's what's happening with an arrow function, but it's doing it in one step as opposed to multiple steps. So that's cool. Of course, like our traditional JavaScript functions, arrow functions may require a little more work to execute. When this happens, we can wrap our block of code inside curly braces like any other function, and that's what we just did with the num squared. Here we have const greet customer, takes the name as an argument, saying let time get new date dot get hour. So this is looking at the time of day and saying, hey, if the time is less than or equal to 12, meaning what whatever time of the day it is, what hour it is, then we'll console.log good morning. Oh, what's this weird thing right here? Good morning name, else console.log good evening name. This is some strange mess is going on. What is this witchcraft? What was that balderdash we just wrote inside our console.log command? If you're like me, you probably are. You got tired of concatenating all those strings to write out messages. All that, have a string plus, then, a variable, then plus, then another string. That's stupid. Well, I'm not gonna say stupid, but yeah, we don't want to do that, right? That causes a whole bunch of headaches right there. So what we have instead is something that's called a string template literal. And we can change the way that we write strings. Instead of using quotation marks, we wrap everything inside of the backtick symbol. That backtick symbol is this symbol that is above your tab button on your keyboard. Okay. And then whenever we want to inject our JS code, our JavaScript, we can wrap it inside of this $ curly brace sign. Okay. Not only can we place a variable inside the $ and curly brace combo, but we can place any kind of expression inside and it will get evaluated. So let's look at that. I'm going to come over here. So I'm going to stick with this my name. Okay. I can say console.log. Previously I would say my name is, and then plus, and then pass in right here my name. That's going to return my name is Satch. All right. This is what we've been doing, and we don't like it. We don't like it at all. So this is, other than like the arrow function, I say this is my second favorite. Well, no. So I would rank arrow function, ternary operator, and then string template literal. And sometimes string template literal might be better, might surpass ternary operator. But I can rewrite this right here. I can say console.log, and then I use the backtick. And again, that is the button, the key that is above the tab button. And I can say my name is, and this looks more like just regular writing. And so I put a $, curly brace right here and pass in my name like so. And it works just the same. So now I don't have to worry about all those pesky concatenation symbols and when I'm opening and closing a string, and did I use space properly? I don't have to worry about any of that stuff. I can just write my string here like so. Also, what I can do with this is I can say, I can use my single quote or double quote. I don't have to worry about escaping and worry about, hey, do I need to switch from single quote to double quote? I don't have to do anything like that. And I'll put a $, curly brace right here. I can say 15 times 3 years old. My name is Satch. I'm 45 years old. So, LOL. I know. I don't look it. But anyways, I can write my string as I would just regular text and just pass in JavaScript code inside of this $ curly braces, and it will get evaluated. Give me this over what we've been doing every single day of the week. And every time I have to teach JavaScript from scratch, I get upset because I got to go and write these strings this way so that everybody can see, because I want the progression. That's what I want everybody to see that, so you will understand how the stuff works, and then you'll say, okay, here are all the new gadgets that we can use. Let's employ those instead. And that's ES6 was like, whew, and even then I started coding after ES6 was rolled out, or when they started with it, because I want to say, I don't know if let and const, if they were used, it wasn't used as much when I started writing it in JavaScript. So, because I remember I was looking at stuff like, oh, okay, this is cool. Oh, I can write a function like this instead. Bet. Anyways, so this is what string template literals do. All right. And one other thing that we'll look at, I guess we got some time to do it in this video. And I'm not certain if this is ES6. I believe that it is. Another goodie that I enjoy. So we talked about, the question was brought up back when we were looking at objects in object.seal and object.freeze. Okay, so what I'm going to do here is I'm going to make a simple object. So I'm going to say const me gets this object right here, and I'll just say name property Okay, so I have this object here. Let me not forget this one is awesome. Of course, that's true. All right, so I got this object here, okay, and what I want to do is I'm going to freeze it. So I'm going to say object dot freeze me. And what this means is now I cannot mutate this this object at all. So I cannot add any new properties to it, nor can I update this at all, which I definitely want to be able to update at least my age because I'm trying to be here. I'm not trying to clock out at 45. I got goals. But here I have this object and I froze it. So again, this object cannot be mutated in any kind of way. But sometimes I may want to go and modify the object. Maybe I want to make some kind of change to it. How can I do that? Well, the way we can do that is we're going to make a copy of this data right here, and we're going to make a copy using something called a spread operator. Okay, and a spread operator looks like this. This is the syntax for it. ... That's simple. Okay. And what it does, for an object, the spread operator will remove the key value pairs out of the curly braces. Okay, so in other words, what I could do is I can say let, I'm going to use const copy me is going to get this object. I'm going to open up because it's going to be a new object here. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to say ... and then pass in me, just like that. Now, if I console, let's log out, copy me. Here, oh, look at that. There's the entire object that I just froze. So now that I got that, let's say I wanted to come over here, and I'm going to do it right above copy me. I'm going to say me.age gets 46. Okay. And if I try to log out me, it doesn't change. It's still 45 because I froze it. So since I froze me, I can't change, I can't update anything in there. All right. But now with copy me, okay, since I made a copy of it, if I said copy me.age gets 46, and then I log that out, there you look at the age and it's been changed. So even though we've frozen the object as we did before, we were able to make a copy of it by using the spread operator. And then doing that, we were able to take that copy and store it inside of another container or another object. And just so we can see what's happening here, I'm going to, here on line 135, I'm going to spread out me. So I'm just going to say ... me. Oh, let's see. Oh, spread operator, spread syntax requires iterable symbol .iterator to be a function. Oh, yes, because the object. Yeah. So Not gonna worry about that. That's why it works with an array. But if I console on me, okay, cool. So there, the spread operator, we see we can make a copy of the data set. All right. Now for an array, because it works with an array as well, spread operator will remove the items from the array. I'm gonna make an array right here. Const games gets Pac-Man, Call of Duty, Super Smash Bros. All right. And so what I'm going to do here, let's say, I think this should work now. If I console.log, I spread out games. Yeah, I know that works. So I spread out games because this is an array, not an object. Come here and look, and I can see there's Pac-Man, Call of Duty, Super Smash Bros. So I've spread it out. I see that works. But what I want to do is I want to make a copy of this array. And generally, this is what we want to do as opposed to like using push and shift and unshift. What I want to do is I want to make a copy of this array. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to say const games2 is going to get, and I'm going to spread out games, comma, and then I can add a new game right here. I don't know, Kirby. So now I'm going to console.log games, and then I'm going to log out games2. And when I do that, matter of fact, let me put a clear. Where are you, clear? Way up here. There you are. Do I know you? No, that's where you are. You're there. Anybody. Austin Powers, man. I got to get with it. All this stuff. We'll fix this up. All right. Okay. So back it up one more time. There we go. All right. So here we go. So when I console games and games2, here we can see games. Games2, you see we've added Kirby. So what does this mean? What does this do? The spread operator allows us to create a data set, okay, that, and we don't have to mutate it, right? Because I can just take a copy of that data set and then, work with the copy as opposed to, or make a new copy each time as opposed to mutating the original data set, because we don't always want to do that. There are times where it's okay to, push, pop, shift and unshift, or to add properties or update properties inside of an object. There are times where it's okay to do that. However, we want to be in a place where if we can, not mutate the original data set and just make a copy of the data set and work with that copy instead. Okay. We can do whatever else we want to with the copy, but we want to leave the data set, the original data set, as it is. So um, this is what ES6 has provided, and you can always go and check the docs on JavaScript just like we check the docs on anything else, um, and look and see if they make any updates. Obviously, you want to stay current with things. Those are like the big changes when it comes to JavaScript and ES6. Being able to use let and const as opposed to var, using a ternary operator, arrow functions, string template literals, and spread operator. Those things made development much cleaner, much more efficient, and tackle some logical things that uh, old JavaScript uh, didn't account for. So, anyways, that's my lesson on that. It was like 30 minutes on this video. So, like with anything, as I'm doing these examples, I think you know by now. Um, you can pause the video anytime, tinker with the code, see if it works. If it's not working, uh, drop a comment, say, hey, that's not working. Or if you have a better way of solving some of the problems, or working through some of these things, hey, drop a comment there. Say, hey, this is the way I did this right here. That'll be great, right? Because it's all about learning. And as I always say, there's a whole bunch of A ways, but not the way. Okay, so yes, like, share, comment, subscribe. What else is there? All that stuff. And I'm sorry. Oh yeah, notification. Yeah, turn on the notification. Yeah, so you like get a ping every time I do a video. That'll be great, right? Uh, anyways, that's that on that, and we're gonna look at some other things in the next video.